All right. Good afternoon, friends, intermittent fasting friends. Right now, we should have you at a really good time because you guys should be in your eating windows probably, so you're not grumpy. None of us get grumpy outside of that eating window. Anyway, my name is JANELLE Phillips, and I am so excited to be here with my sweet friend, CARRIE SPRATLEY. CARRIE is just she's just a sharp knife in the drawer. Besides that, but she's a good friend of mine, and she is a Plexus ambassador also, completely in love with the products that we have. And she's actually run quite a few challenges for intermittent fasting for her own team. And they've been wildly successful, wildly successful. So CARRIE, do you want to tell us a little bit about your background and kind of maybe how you found intermittent fasting?
Yeah, of course. So as a practitioner and having been to the #1 nutrition school in the world, we learned a lot of different nutrition theories. So this was not something new for me, but when I saw some other people who were incorporating it with our products, it piqued my interest. And so a couple of years ago, I started what I call dabbling with it. We typically do a lot of travel through the year. But we have not traveled this last year as much.
I don't know why.
So what I have found is when I have traveled previously, and this method of eating has not always worked well with travel, but I have in the last probably 3 or 4 months been doing it a little bit of what I call a cleaner method. And I have seen and demonstrated and proven that that's actually a false story I was telling myself, that I wasn't capable of keeping up with it when I would travel. So it didn't seem like a lifestyle way of living, because every time I would go to travel, it was something that I felt like I couldn't do while traveling. And I've since shown myself and demonstrated just being coachable and teachable. I think it's something that we should always be willing to have open hearts and minds to the fact that there's other ways of doing things that could be more effective. But as far as my education background with nutrition, there's so many things about this that kind of buck the system for what I was trained to think and believe and know to be true. And that was the fact that our body needs consistent, regular nutrition intake. It's why our blood sugar balance is so important, right? And eating consistently and regularly and telling people to start off their first meal of the day with protein is something that I've always advocated in my practice. But this has kind of shifted things for me and for the people that I've been able to help. And I'm super excited about the idea of teaching and equipping and empowering people in a method that taps into our stored fat for our ability to have resources and not just rely on a constant stream of nutrition that's coming in. It doesn't mean that what I've taught and known to be true, it doesn't make it false. This is just another way of doing it. And what I love about this nutrition theory being paired with Plexus products is Plexus products work to regenerate our cells on a physiological component, right? We go in and we balance that blood sugar, we get the gut healthier, we decrease the inflammation. Those are all things that we're doing to our body that impact our body on a cellular level, right? Our blood cells is a cellular level. Our gut health is down to the cells. Yeast is in our cells. So this nutrition theory is a way to regenerate your cells through what's called autophagy. You've probably heard about autophagy. Autophagy is when you tap into that through fasting, you tap into that cellular regeneration and getting your body to tap into the stored fat, that stubborn fat, that unhealthy fat, that unsafe fat that is on our body from like our midsections, what surrounds our organs, all those things. And then you pair it with our products that are going in and restoring balance through our cortisol hormone, through our adrenaline hormone, through our insulin hormone, through our microbiome hormones. All of those things work very synergistically together. So I've seen and experienced amazing transformation when we tap into that. But there's a few things that I think hold people back from what I call complete success. First of all, belief. Belief in what's possible. Like, I've been working with people that have 50, 60, 80, 100 pounds to lose. And what I want them to know is that 1 year from now, they will be at their goal weight. If you stick with this eating method for a year, whether you're 40, 50, 80, 100 pounds, 1 year from now, you will be at your goal weight with our products and with this way of eating. And to me, it's so encouraging. The other important component for people is to believe that this can be a lifestyle that they can do every day. Because if you don't believe it, guess what you're not going to do? You're not going to do it if you don't believe it's possible. So belief is a huge component for our ability to have success with anything, right? So you have to see other people who have gone before you, who have demonstrated the impact that can have. But a couple of things that I see people struggling with that are impeding their success. They struggle with not doing a clean fast. There's 2 states that your body can be in: ketosis, and that's more of a fat burning mode. But when you get into autophagy, that's the next level. So ketosis is where you're tapping into your stored fat, but you're not completely in an autophagy mode. So it's kind of staged. And when people are not in that complete clean fasting mode, they will struggle for success. They might push the envelope with maybe putting a sweetener in their tea or coffee, or doing something that can disrupt the full clean fast. The other thing that people struggle with that will impede a clean fasting method success is water. Believe it or not, water is optimal for our body. Our bodies are 75% water. So if you are missing that component, it's key. I had a conversation with a client yesterday. I helped a girl last week who was for sure that she was drinking enough water, but one day she decided to measure and she was behind. The next day she got in half her body weight in ounces of water per day. She lost 5 pounds in that day. So water is a big, hairy deal.
Hold on. Okay, and so this is why this kind of shocks me, because, okay, sorry, my husband and his 2 brothers decided one Christmas that they were going to have an eating contest. His dad made a ton of steak, and they all decided that they wanted to see how much they were going to eat to see who could gain the most in one meal. Ridiculous? Yes. So my husband's brother, one of his brothers, who was an Olympic athlete, he, just bided his time, and he ate his steak, but he drank a ton. And of course, who weighed more at the end of the meal but the little brother, who drank more water. So that just blows my mind.
Now let me explain this. Let me explain how it impedes people. So our products work to the level of cells. So when you go into your blood sugar and you get your blood sugar balanced, it is pulling unhealthy cells out of your body. Okay, cellular. Yeast. When you pull yeast out of your cells, cellular. But if you pull them out and you do not give them a mechanism to flush out of the body, your body is holding on to toxins. That it will hold on to weight. It will hold on to it like there is no tomorrow. Water is key. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make with optimal wellness in general, with weight loss in general, but most assuredly with the way our products work that are actually healing the root imbalance in the body. What a novel concept, right? Mm-hmm. And then pairing with another nutritional component that is also creating cellular regeneration in your body. 2 major things are happening here. And if you're not giving your body that mechanism that is helping your body regenerate those cells and flushing those toxins out, your body will hold on to it. It will hold on to it. So 2 major things.
So what I'm hearing you say, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What I'm hearing you say is that the product and the water are tools to be used in conjunction with one another for success with a plan. So we've got intermittent fasting is the plan.
Yep.
And the tools to success are 2 of them would be your water and your product.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So the other component that I think a lot of people miss out on or have a misunderstanding with is the the consistent method that needs to happen. So you may have an 11 to fast one day, and the next day you may do a 12 to 8. I think the more you can get toward a closer to a 6-hour eating window or a feasting window, you'll move the needle more significantly. But I always start people off on an 8-hour because that seems to be the most doable beginner level. And then as you are moving into month 2, month 3, month 4, I would say practice to get more toward that 6-hour window. As far as our supplements, all of our capsuled supplements do not break a fast. But what does break a fast is collagen, active, and slim. Yep. Those 3 will break a fast. So you may use your slim active collagen to break a fast. You may use it in between meal number 2 and meal number 3, or I guess it's actually first meal, second meal. You can use them in between, like, so I am a 10 to 6 girl. So I have my first meal at 10, and then usually about 1 o'clock in the afternoon is when I have my slim, active, and collagen. And that really does sustain me well beyond dinner. Like, dinner is more of a disciplined time to eat, getting that nutrition in the body. But you may also use those 3 products to break it, because it will break it. So you can use it to break your fast. Either method works. So I'll give you an example of what I do. So I get up and I have 1 MetaBurn, okay, with a full glass of water. And then at 30 minutes before I break my fast, I have a 2 Balance and I have another MetaBurn, okay? And then I have my first meal of the day. And all along I'm clean. I'm water, coffee, and tea, plain, right? All the way through there. And then sometimes when I have my slim active collagen, I might have a snack. It might be cheese or some sort of lean turkey, or some sort of lean protein. And then we have dinner at 4, and I'm done eating by 6. Whatever method will work for you, for your family, for you to be consistent. I think that's the most important component, is thinking what is going to work best for me and my family. Because if you're trying to do a window that really is not something that your family is adaptive to, I think the struggle will be there. Microbiome Slim does break the fast. That is correct. Now hear me out on this. Hear me out.
Yeah. We want to hear all of the things, because I mean, I know that I have not been. So I've been doing my Microbiome Slim before I want to break my fast. It's not really a long time before, but I'm really curious to hear your thought process on this, because we want to fine tune things.
Here's the thing. There are a lot of thought theories that go around fasting and what can break a fast. Some people believe if it's 50 calories or less, it will not break a fast. My thing is, if you can lose weight with 50 calorie or less, who am I to argue with what your body is going to respond to? But I always err on the side of caution, and I go the cleanest possible method first. And then if people want to experiment with what they can do, I'll give an example. I have a client who can do a tablespoon of full fat cream and a stevia sweetener, and she's lost 30 pounds. So I'd hate for you to say, I'm going to try this for 6 weeks and see if this will work for me. But my whole thing is, you'll know right away or not whether your body moves the needle, and whether or not that will put you in a state where you're tapping into your stored fat. Now, you could lose weight even in ketosis, which ketosis, there is a fasting method that's called the bulletproof fasting method, which is what I started off doing several years ago, right? So my nutrition-minded brain said, okay, this makes sense to me. If I can have a healthy fat in my coffee, like Kerrygold butter, and a medium chain triglyceride oil like MCT oil, to me that made sense, because I was still giving my brain the nutrition and my body wasn't going into fat storing mode, right? Because the whole idea for what I was trained and educated to was, if you skip breakfast, your body goes into fat storage. Because it's panicking of when it's going to get its next source of nutrition, right? So that nutrition theory made sense to me, the bulletproof method. And I did that for several years, and I did it like 3-4 days a week is how I would do it. But I learned a newer method more of a clean method 3 or 4 months ago, and I have seen more of a trimming, more muscle definition. So that means fat loss, right? By doing more of a clean method. So my whole thing is, if you're struggling, you're probably not doing a clean method. And if you're struggling, you probably can't get away with a something like putting, a little bit of creamer in your coffee and a little bit of sweetener. It seems little and it seems diet friendly, but it's not getting your body into that stored fat state where it's fat.
So what you're saying is we need to be assessing our own success. So for those of us who are maybe, seeing a ton of success, even with the microbiome slim, breaking that fast maybe 2 hours before we're hard breaking it with a meal, then that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then those of us who are not having success want to maybe bump that slim into that feasting window and out of the fasting window.
Right.
Awesome.
I always start off on the most extreme method and see how you can move the needle with the cleanest fast possible. And then as your body's releasing weight, see, okay, can I experiment and have a sweetener or a tablespoon of whole fat milk in my coffee? Can I get away with that and still move the needle on my weight? I clearly have people that have done that. I think that would be an exception. But I think the rule is most people will have success with the cleanest method possible. The cleanest method possible is to go clean fasting until you reach your goal weight. And then what I encourage people to do is, once you reach your goal weight, then you can go to like 3 days a week where you do a clean fasting method. And then the other 4 days a week, you do whatever modified version of however you want to do it. That's to me what is more of a lifestyle mode, because you don't need to clean fast for the rest of your life. This is not a 7 day a week kind of thing. This is reach your goal weight. And then once you're at your goal weight, then you can do it a couple of days a week, and you give your body that change up and that change to your metabolism and what's different, what's new. And that will create a sense of instability, but because you always want to keep your body guessing about what's happening. That's why it's important to change up your nutrition and not have the same thing for breakfast every day, the same thing for lunch every day. It's important to give your body a variety for a reason, because it will adapt and it will adjust metabolically to those foods that we're bringing in consistently and regularly.
Interesting. I think that's a bit of a challenge too, because we tend to be creatures of habit. I always have this for breakfast. Okay, well, if it's not moving the needle, maybe you need to change what you're having. So quickly, 2 things. Number one, I would love for you to spout out the really long designation that you have, because you've alluded to your education. So I need you to say it because I can't remember. Yeah, you got the little.
So I'm board certified as a holistic health coach practitioner. So I'm board certified with the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. So I help people through nutrition and through supplementation, every avenue outside of pharmacy that we can help people move toward. I help them transition away from that and more of a lifestyle through nutrition and supplementation.
And I love that you found Plexus and you love it. And it just is another layer of it's just another layer of confidence in taking the product. So quickly, because I know that we said we were going to be 15, but that's fine. You had mentioned the word yeast before, and there will be some people who are really, really new to the Plexus world. Maybe they only got introduced to Plexus through intermittent fasting and aren't aware of the need for targeting yeast. So we have our triplex, and I know that you just said what you take earlier in the day, but I know you take the triplex. So tell us when you take those, and just reiterate again why it's so important to get rid of that yeast and that kind of thing.
There are hands down, and this is what I was taught at nutrition school, there are hands down 3 root health imbalances: blood sugar, gut health, and inflammation. Okay. The acronym is BIG, B-I-G. It's a big deal, right? It's our food supply. It's the deterioration that we've had over time, where we have so many modifications. We have hormones, we have antibiotics. Okay. We should not be consuming antibiotic. We do not have bacterial infection in our body. but we're consuming antibiotics through our food supply. Our meat, our dairy, our poultry all have antibiotics in it. So it takes your body 1 year to recover from one round of antibiotics. So if you get a sinus infection and you take a 7-day runner of antibiotics, that wipes out your good gut bacteria for an entire year. Okay. Mm-hmm. So probiotic usage is key to having a healthy defense mechanism. This is what fights off it's our defense. It fights off the bad guys for our body. It's like our shield and our sword within the center, the powerhouse for where 80% of our immune cells come from. This is our defense mechanism. The probiotic that Plexus offers is very unique and different because it has twofold system. It's going to put in the good guy that you're missing, and it's going to work to mitigate the overgrowth of yeast that happens in our body. Now, we're all born with yeast. We need about a 15% yeast intestinal balance. If you've ever had like a septic system, owned a home with a septic system, you have to have a healthy yeast balance, but it's low. It needs to be 15%, and you need about 85% good, healthy bacteria in that system, right? We have that same kind of system. We have to have some bad guys in there, okay? It provides a healthy flora balance in our body, okay? So, but what happens is in our world is that sugar feeds yeast, alcohol feeds yeast, carbohydrates break down into sugar and they feed yeast. So we end up where the ratio in our body is flip-flopped. We've got 85% bad guy and maybe, if we're lucky, 15% good guy, okay? So restoring that intestinal balance, you guys, is key. Okay, it is key for optimal wellness. It's key for a healthy weight. If you do not have good gut bacteria, you will always struggle for a healthy weight. You'll struggle for a healthy mood. You'll struggle for energy. You'll struggle with clear thought. You'll walk into a room and you're like, dang it, what did I come in here for? That's called a foggy brain. Okay, that's yeast overgrowth in the body. It's a fermentation process. And if you think about fermentation, it makes things bubbly and cloudy, and our brain can't think and process when things are overgrown and we've got unhealthy pathogens like yeast in our body.
Awesome. So of course we've got ProBioCA and BioCleanse, or ProBio5 if you're in the States, that will help to support that healthy gut bacteria. And they all go hand in hand. Just like Carrie said, it's the BIG, right? Everything goes hand in hand. And so when we have our amazing triplex where we've got our Slim, which is going to balance your blood sugar, and it's going to do other things as well, especially if you're taking the microbiome Slim, because that's the good food for, in Canada, actually, we just call it Slim. So as long as it's not the HC Slim, that's one we're talking about. You can take the HC Slim. It does still have benefits to your gut, but these ones are very specific. And then, of course, we've got the ProBio and the BioCleanse, and that rounds out that whole blood sugar, gut health, inflammation. For extra anti-inflammatory support, of course, we have Ease. A lot of people started with Ease. It's amazing. That was actually going to be a question of mine really quick, just because I'm going to ask you because you're here. You had mentioned about the bulletproof method and taking those MCT oil, the medium chain triglyceride, for the brain food. Because Ease has omegas in it, does that count as brain food, or is that something different?
It will not break your fast.
But it would help. It should help the brain anyway.
As far as omegas, super beneficial for brain. Yeah, it's brain food.
So no calories, and yet food for your brain.
Yep.
So that's
what I love about Ease is omega-3s are very restorative to gut permeability. If you're not familiar with gut permeability, a less fancy word is called leaky gut. Very common when we have yeast overgrowth in our body, when we have pesticides from our food supply, when we have gluten. Gluten will perforate holes in our intestinal walls. When we have gut permeability, omegas have been researched and demonstrated to help seal up those holes that occur in leaky gut. So omega-3s are super restorative to gut health.
So that's amazing. So if you thought that you were just getting an anti-inflammatory with Ease, you're getting so much more. And I don't know about you, Carrie, but every time I pick up a product from Plexus, either it's a new product or one that maybe I haven't researched a ton, there's the stuff that it says it does and the stuff that we talk about it corporately that it does. And then there's like 1,000 extra things that it does on the side that would never fit on the label. So you just gave us another one.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And I talk to people regularly about the magnitude, because sometimes people reach out to me and say, do we have a testimony for this? Or do we have a testimony for that? I'm like, be the first testimony. Like our company was founded on people with stories who came in for weight loss and ended up, and I'm that classic story, who came in for weight loss and ended up with so many other health transformations as a result, because it's a very healthy bait and switch that happens with our products, because we have all this branding that we can say that we're allowed to say. But the truth of it all is, when you heal the blood sugar, the gut health, and you decrease the inflammation in the body, you allow your body to heal. You stand up the 3 pillars that will help your body move in so much more health freedom. And it's testimony after testimony after testimony. Like, sometimes I read our stories and go, how in the world? It's because they stood up the 3 pillars, the foundation, right? You don't want to stand on sand. You want to stand on a rock with your health. This is your rock. The triplex is your rock.
Absolutely. I was reading a migraine testimony today, and I backed off, and I was like, how people can't read this stuff. Like, if somebody were to read this, this is why I am crazy nuts about the product and the
crazy nuts over here too.
Right? Like, it changes your life. And I mean, guys, maybe you are not on that stage, like you're not in that stage yet where you're like, wow, this is life changing. Trust us. Consistency, time, patience, like Carrie said, mindset, that this is actually going to work, because there's so much in mindset too. But the other piece to it, where we're not just talking mindset, is that we can accidentally sabotage ourselves by not having the right frame of mind.
I have a client that came to me about 2 months ago, and she said, what did she say? Things rarely work out for me. And I went, I can't help you. That's what she tells herself every day. Things rarely work out for me. And it was in relationship to her health. She's like, I've tried everything. And I'm like, if I thought that, I would not be symptom-free from an autoimmune illness for the last almost 8 years. If I said that, like I fought for 10 years to become well. If you don't think that this method through the supplementation and intermittent fasting is going to work for you, you're right. Move on. Either make a decision in your mind that it's going to work for you, or move on, because you're going to waste your time. If your mind is not believing in what's possible, it's not going to happen. But I'm here to tell you, people are doing it. So you can either follow the process of what people using our products and this method are doing, or give it another go with something else. But I'm just here to tell you, the way our products work are amazing, and the way this nutrition method is. Here's the thing. How many of you, raise your hand, how many of you have ever been on a diet before, right? You lose the weight, you move your body, you exercise, right? The weight comes off. But guess what? You had to do a lot of depriving in that period of time. You had to restrict things from your life. And you know what our brain is wired to do? It's wired to protect us. And we're also very romantic. So we romanticize times where we were not in the best behavior with food, where we emotionally attached ourselves to food. And what happens is when you do that kind of a method to your body, you just go back and you make up for lost time. What I love about this method is that I had my birthday in September. I fasted on my birthday. I skipped breakfast, and I had a huge lunch and a great dinner, and I had my birthday cake all in my window, right? November, you guys have already had your Thanksgiving, right? Well, we're going to have our Thanksgiving. I'm going to have my 8 hours of eating. I will have the pie, and I will love it. And you know what? And then Christmas, all the things. We are socially driven around food, my friends. All you have to do is reverse engineer your day. To me, this is the most lifestyle-friendly way of eating, where you're not dieting, where you're not dying, you're not restricted. The only parameter that you're limited by is your time. Just choose your time. Reverse engineer your day. If you want to go to a movie tomorrow and the movie's at 6, back up your window to where you can go to the movie and have the popcorn and whatever you're going to do, just back it up. We don't eat like that every day, but you get to have food freedom. You get to live your life. Last night was my daughter-in-law's birthday. I had 8 hours of eating. I had my cake and we were done. And then I broke my fast at noon today. I mean, to me, it's brilliant. It is so brilliant and so doable. And we will be able to help a lot of people, because when you can say you have food freedom, not food overindulgence, food freedom, it's more of a mind thing than it is a food thing. It's about giving yourself permission to live your life within reasonable. Don't go eat fast food 3 times a day and expect to move the needle on your weight. It's just not going to happen. Right? Mm-hmm. Everything within moderation. That's what we're talking about. To me, that's livable. That's life.
I love that you said food freedom. I love that you said food freedom. And I think having the supports of Plexus and even that really easy tool, water, free, and it's like super, we talk about how exercise is the most underutilized antidepressant ever. Mm-hmm. I feel like water is one of the most underutilized tools for health ever. So thank you, like a bazillion thank yous for all of this. I feel like we packed like a ton of stuff into 30 minutes. This is so good. Guys, give Carrie a shout out in the comments. We'll share with her. Yeah, I know you guys have all been blessed by all this, and I hope that this helps support you guys on your journey, especially if there's nothing else you take from this amazing woman. Take the piece that you need to set your mind to believe that this is actually possible for you. Yeah. And if you need help with belief, borrow ours. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, thank you so very much. Have a wonderful Sunday.